And she's like, basically just missing the chaos.
You know, I truly believe modeling matters more than managing, and how we talk about ourselves, right? Yes, you're doing it right. Like, there is no right, there is no wrong when it comes to this. We are all doing our best. Drop the just, claim who you are, and your kids will follow. And I'm like, self-care is never selfish.
Welcome to the Feel Good Club podcast. This is the place where ambitious working moms learn how to elevate their well-being, increase success in all areas, and create a positive, aligned life. Whether you're here to hear expert interviews or inspiring talks, this is your space to learn and grow. I'm Tia Graham, keynote and TED speaker, best-selling author, and founder of the Feel Good Club community for high-achieving moms. I am an expert in the science of happiness. This show is here to help you feel grounded, happier, and connected to yourself and others. I know you are going to love it. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in.
Hi, Simone. Welcome to the Feel Good Club podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I can't wait to learn from you, get inspired from you. You have had an incredible life and are still have an incredible life. You have 6 children, ages 18 to 29, and you're on a mission to help a lot of people with your speaking and your books and your podcast as well. What advice do you have for a working mom who's in the stage where kids are in elementary school, still need you a lot? You are juggling 400 million things, the mental load, the physical load, the house, career, marriage, trying to take care of yourself, all of it. And you wish that there was 3 of you because you don't feel like there's enough time. What advice would you give to that woman?
I think the biggest thing is give yourself some grace. I was someone who was really hard on myself when my kids were younger and I was working. No matter what I didn't think I was doing a good job, right? I'm messing up this and I'm messing up that. Oh my gosh, they're all going to need therapy when they grow up, which is great. They are all going to have therapy.
Everyone needs therapy. Okay?
Exactly. But I didn't give myself grace. I was constantly so negative towards myself. And the way I talked to myself, and I know we talked about this before the show, but the idea of, talking to yourself like you would your best friend. If you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself. Like, we need to encourage ourselves, not tell ourselves that we're doing a bad job, because there's no such thing as perfection. We're all trying our best, and that's the most important thing.
Really, really good advice, and yet sometimes hard to do. So how did you learn to give yourself grace?
Well, so honestly, I created a little mindset hack, and it has to do with building confidence, but it also has to do with taking that step back and really understanding the voice in your head. I call it the what if whisper. But in 2015, so I'm 54 years old now. So in 2015, so 11 years ago, I was asked to do something completely out of my comfort zone. And it was at a period of time where I was really struggling, didn't think I was making a difference in the world. I tried so many different jobs. I started off as an accountant, and now I'm a keynote speaker, obviously nowhere close, but there's so many things I did in between trying to find myself. And, what I realized was that I had to address the issues that I had. And the thing that I was asked to do was to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, which is completely out of my comfort zone because I live in Florida. I have 16 steps in my house. I've gone camping twice. So what that experience did for me was it really helped me change the way that I saw myself, and which is so important for all of us, because I truly believe we don't need to change who we are. We need to change the way we see ourselves. And one of the things that happened on that mountain was that voice that would come up in my head saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe you left your 6 kids at home. You shouldn't be here. What are you doing? Like, the biggest critic of all times on that mountain. And so I understood that, wait, I have to be aware that this voice is happening. So it's a very creative title. It's called Control Alt Delete. So back in the day, that was how we would reset a frozen computer. But sometimes our minds freeze too, right? We get stuck in that comparison game. We spiral in self-doubt. So control is about awareness. What's the story that you're telling yourself? Is it real? Is it helpful? Most of the time, the answer is no. Alt is about alternative. Tell yourself a better story and instead of telling yourself that you're doing a bad job, no, you're not. You're doing a great job. Instead of telling yourself like, oh, you're not enough. Yeah, you're more than enough. Instead of asking yourself like, what if I fail? How about when I succeed? And finally, delete the habits and beliefs that don't serve you. Delete the comparison game. Delete the idea that you're not enough. Delete the belief that you need to wait until you feel ready to do something. I love to say that waiting until you feel ready is like waiting for IKEA instructions to actually make sense. It is not going to happen. We have to take action. But that, I wish I would have had that when I was younger, when, constantly doubting myself, like, okay, is it real? Is this really true? No, it's not. It's the negative story that we're telling ourselves.
I love the simplicity of it. Everyone can remember Control Alt Delete. Um, and you don't need to change the way you see yourself and see yourself as the beautiful, imperfect working mom that you are. And so, how come confidence, specifically confidence, how come it's so important to you? And how come you need to spread what you've learned and what you know about it? Like, out of all the things in the world, why confidence?
For me, when I look at confidence, I look at that as the skill that you build that will help you through any of the things that you struggle with. I don't look at it as a personality trait. It's not something you have or you don't. It's something that you build like any other skill, right? You don't go take a Spanish lesson one time and become fluent. You don't go to the gym one time and become buff, although that would be amazing. So it really is about understanding that confidence for me changed everything. And as a habit, something that you work on all the time. When I realized that it's not something superficial, it's something that we build, I became happier, right? I was able to do things. I was able to take action because I was like, okay, but for me, actually, the way I'll take a step back, and for me, it's really action builds confidence. So it's doing the things when you're scared, doing the things when you're not sure. And because I struggled with self-doubt for the majority of my life, that was kind of the path that I looked at and said, okay, why did I struggle so much? I had, in high school, I had an abusive boyfriend and I never dealt with it. And so that was really the beginning of my self-doubt. But because I never dealt with it, that became my whole journey, was always questioning, should I be in that room? Do I deserve to be there? And understanding that what I felt like I was missing was confidence. And again, not as a personality trait, as something that I really needed to build so I could feel good about the things that I was doing. So I could walk into the room and say, yeah, I deserve to be here.
And from your everything that you've looked into, you wrote about, your books, etc., do you feel that women struggle with confidence more than men?
Yes. Now, men still struggle with confidence. So, my husband's a neurosurgeon. He'll tell you that he still struggles with confidence. So, but again, women struggle more. Society, the way, we always have to prove ourselves everywhere we go. My mom is a prime example. She is 86 years old. She is a retired physician. She grew up in rural Pennsylvania and lives on a farm. Her mom had a sixth grade education. Her dad worked in the coal mines. And in 10th grade, she walked into a library for the first time, and that changed her life. She knew she wanted to be educated after that. She got into the University of Pittsburgh and worked 3 jobs. And then in 1961, she got into the University of Pittsburgh Medical School. There were 120 people in her class. 5 of them were women. And she was told from day one that she took a man's spot and she didn't deserve to be there. So I think those, still those societal pressures, I know I'm talking 1961, but there's still a lot of issues. Mm-hmm. And I think that definitely has a negative effect on women and confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Many ambitious, successful working women get validation, feel more confident, feel good about themselves when they are achieving, right? And it could be, someone who's an entrepreneur and like books a new client, or right, it could be a speaker, books is a talk, or gets a promotion at work, etc. Right? Gets this huge project. And it's like feathers in your cap. You're like, I'm good, I'm awesome, right? When you have these things. Um, and a lot of times motherhood does not, right? Because your kids are not always like, you're amazing, you're the best, I'm the most perfect kid because of you. And
Yes.
no, right? So from your experience, how can women and working moms separate their worth and not try and keep proving themselves by all of these external measures, or these, the external validation, which feels really good. I think you get a lot of dopamine, and, you could share it on LinkedIn or whatever, but, there's highs and lows with that. So what advice do you have?
Let's take a quick pause for something that can really support you. If you constantly question if you are good enough as a working mom and desperately want to feel happier, I'd love to invite you to a complimentary discovery call with me. In 45 minutes, we'll get clear on what is out of alignment, what you want your days to feel like, and 2 to 3 simple changes you can make immediately to feel calmer and more confident. It's completely free, and it's a chance for us to connect and see if the Feel Good Club for working moms or one-on-one coaching might support you. To grab a spot, go to tiagraham.com/discovery call. That's tiagraham.com/discovery call, and pick a time that works for you.
Yeah, I think it's really about that. We don't need that external validation. Yes, it feels great, but we need to build ourselves up from the inside out. It's really about how we feel about ourselves. And so my book is really all about, I created what I call the real method, and that it stands for respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and live without limits. And I think the self-respect piece to me is the most important piece, right? So it really is about understanding that we can set boundaries without guilt, right? Self-care isn't selfish. I mean, there's so many pieces to the self-respect piece. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I was taught to respect my elders, my peers, but never once do I remember that the most important person, do I remember being taught that the most important person to respect was myself. And that is something I definitely teach with my kids, is that you have to respect yourself. It's not about going into a room and demanding respect. It's about demonstrating it to yourself so that people understand how you deserve to be treated. And so I think, going back to the original question, I think that self-respect piece is really kind of the foundation for everything that we do. And yes, in the moment, there's nothing easy about motherhood. There's nothing easy about being a working mom, right? It's those challenges. I mean, I would love to say that, now that I have, my oldest is 29, my youngest is 18, that, oh, it's so much easier. They're just different problems, right? And it's just part of your
No
life.
problems when you're 29.
Well,
Simone, we need some light.
but they're good problems, right? It's kind of like, I want to buy my first house. Let's go through that, right? So it's not like the discussions go away. They just become different. I mean, no, I don't worry about losing their shoes or them walking out of the house naked when they were fully dressed 2 minutes ago. I mean, that was a younger stage. So it's just a different version. And now, like you saw with my daughter, Olivia, having a podcast with her is such a cool thing, because yes, I still have to parent, but now I can really become their friends as well. Mm-hmm. And because they know how to do the work, because we put in so much work over the years.
Mm-hmm, can you share, because I think it's such a beautiful story, I want to go on your decision, because you adopted, how many children have you adopted?
3,
right? So birth 3 and adopted 3. And can you talk about that as, being a working mom, and just kind of that journey, and really what it's taught you?
Oh my gosh. It has taught me so many different things. I would tell you, first of all, the journey was, you have this idea in your head. It's unicorns and rainbows
Yeah.
and it is hard. It is
Yeah.
so hard.
Honestly, I thought that about being a mom too. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's gonna be so cute. And then, no,
Yes.
hard.
No, hard. It's going to test every limit that you have. And
Yes.
you know what? That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. So when we adopted our son Noah, he was 4. So we adopted Noah from South Korea, and then Ari and Millie are both from Ethiopia. Different adoption times, not the same birth family. But when we adopted Noah, we we chose South Korea because the kids go into foster care and also that they have medical records. And because my husband's a physician, to him, that was important. Did it mean anything? Absolutely not. So Noah came home at 4 months old and he turned our world upside down. He cried about everything. He cried when he was naked. He cried when you put him in the car. He cried when he had clothes on. But he taught me a level of patience that I really never knew I was capable of. I thought I knew what it meant to be a parent. And it was so important for our whole family because we definitely see the world differently, right? We understand that I was on a flight to Russia a few years ago, and there was a couple who were bringing back the children that they adopted. And you could hear, and they were sitting in business, and you could hear the people complaining because one of the girls kept screaming. And so I actually walked up there and I said, can I help you? I said, it might sound creepy, but I have 6 children. We adopted our youngest 3. I understand how hard this plane ride is. And she was telling me her whole story. One of the girls they adopted is blind and deaf. She has no idea like what's happening to her. And, the people all around her are just complaining. And so that piece of like seeing the world differently and understanding that everybody has challenges was so important. And then it became even more chaotic because then we adopted Ari at 4.5 years old. And then we went back one more time and filled the minivan and adopted Millie at 2.5 years old. And I wouldn't change any of the chaos for anything. And there were very many sleepless nights and very many hard days. I had mentioned that our son Noah, who is 19, he is on the autism spectrum. He has ADHD, and school was hard. I got calls almost every single day that we needed to come get him or could you talk to him about this? And, but it's the life we chose and I'm so glad we did.
I love to hear you say that you wouldn't change the chaos because sometimes, my husband and I will be like, oh God, like, this was our choice. We chose this chaos by because and everything. And one of my a woman that I used to work with in New York City actually just sent me an Instagram reel, as people do. And it was this, mom, and she used to have all these teenagers in the car, and now her car is empty. And she's like, I basically just missing the chaos, right? That we feel overwhelmed and stressed, and it can make us anxious. Before we hit record, I told you about my crazy morning. And yet that chaos and that energy and the messes really like make life full, you
Yeah.
know?
It is
So
really quiet around here. So right now we only have our youngest daughter at home and she's a senior. So she's busy with everything. And so my husband will come home and I'm like, I guess we're talking again tonight, Luckily we really like each other.
yes,
But
yes.
it's been a really interesting change. And, I think we always look at parenting as like, okay, when we get to the next step, for me, it's like enjoy the step you're in, no matter how chaotic it is. Because, for example, having to drive the kids to different schools every morning. And, I had 3 different drop offs. And yes, it was chaos. But I got to talk to my kids every moment in the car. As soon as they started driving, it was like we lost that time together. And so,
Yeah.
yes, it was a pain, but it was 100% worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. That there's like, I think you just dropped a big piece of gold is that there are so many gifts in the pain of the stage that, I'm in and listeners are in, that be basically being aware to recognize them. Like, yeah, no, I literally feel like I live in my car. So I can, relate to that. But Absolutely. I get to talk to them and I get to be with them. And so it's recognizing that and being aware of that. Um, so you and your husband have been together a long time. And you
33 years.
33 years and you still choose each other. Like you said, you like each other and with 6 kids and with adoption and work and your career. Um, what advice do you have for as a two-part of, staying connected and giving yourself love as you're in a marriage and you have kids, and then also for having a connected partnership, because that's a lot of this working mom journey too.
It is. It's a big piece of it. So I would tell you when I was younger, I didn't give myself enough love. I didn't even understand the self-care piece. Um, Again, that big moment was climbing Kilimanjaro. And what was really interesting was that when I told people that I was going to do it, I got two responses. One, do you really think you're going to make it to the top? No, I think I'm going to make it halfway. Thank you so much for your support. Right.
Right.
So again, not listening to outside forces. And then the second piece was, that like, don't you think it's selfish to leave your kids at home? And I'm like, self-care is never selfish. But that was a realization moment for me, was that I wasn't giving myself time. When I was talking about Olivia earlier, she loves to crochet. And there was about 2 months ago where she was really struggling. And I said, what are you doing for self-care? And she said, well, I'm saving it up for spring break. And I just had to laugh at her. I was like, you can't save it up for spring break. I'm like, yeah, right. I was like, when's the last time you crocheted? And she was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. I haven't been doing that. And that was like her outlet. Like, you like taking a walk. Her outlet is like to crochet. And that was like, even if she does it, now she brings it to her classes and she crochets while she listens to her class, which I don't know if the teachers love that or not, but it works for her. It really helps her focus. But so that's the first piece, is that understanding like whatever you can do for yourself, even if it's 15 minutes. And I'll have people say to me, I don't have 15 minutes. I'm like, well, show me your phone. Let me see how much you scrolled today. Right. And so you can find the time, even in the chaos, to take a bath, to take a walk, whatever it is, you can find time for yourself. And the second piece is, the relationship with my husband. There are ups and downs, right? I mean, now it's up because we're at a place where we really understand each other, and that idea of giving myself grace, but giving him grace for stuff too. But, when we were younger, that was a really hard thing of saying, like, he has a job where he's gone all the time. And so basically I did so many things by myself and really had to become secure in that piece because, he was gone a lot. But it is understanding now, especially as we get older, is to have, when we were younger too, was to have the date night, even when it was really hard, even if it's like going for a quick drink somewhere, something where we get to talk to each other by ourselves, and that has really made our relationship last. I love to joke though, and this, hopefully you'll appreciate this, where people say like, how have you had your relationship last for so long? And I always say that we never both wanted to get divorced at the same time. So, we all have these issues.
Going on.
Yes.
During
bring it back in.
I love your honesty because sometimes you're like, no, I don't like, it's inevitable where you're like, I don't like this person. I don't like because all the reasons and the challenges. And
so luckily we always had that person to bring the other person back in, being like, no, come on, you're good. What do we need to do right now to make it better? And what he does now is he'll call me every day on the way home from work. And he's like, how can I make your life better? What do you need? And, like, that has been really transformational for our relationship. I can't say I always do the same thing for him, but he does that for me. And it means a lot to him for him to do that. Like, for him to say, okay, I know I've been gone for like 12 hours. What do you need? What can I do for you? And so that's been a really, there's always things about the other person that are going to drive us crazy. Like, he leaves the doors open in the kitchen every single day. But you know what? Do I need to call them out on that? No, I just close them and we move on. Like, what's important?
Thank you for sharing that. And the reminder that have the date night or do what you need to do to invest in your marriage or relationship, or if you're dating, even though there's chaos with work and kids, because you said do it even when it's hard. And so it's kind of like parenting. It's like recognizing like, yeah, it is hard to take the time. It is hard, just like, a lot of working moms struggle to take care of themselves physically because there's so much with just work and kids. But it's like, but you must exercise to, I say, stay sane, right? Like do it for yourself. That, yeah, it's that piece too. So what are your last, I would say, like tips or words of wisdom for the working mom who's wondering, like, am I doing this right? Am I messing up my kids? Am I going to achieve my career goals? Like, am I doing this right? What would you say?
Yes, you're doing it right. Like, there is no right, there is no wrong when it comes to this. We are all doing our best. We are all just out there really focusing on moving forward. And one of the things I really, and this is something I think is important to talk about real quick, is that the way we talk to ourselves, the way we talk about ourselves, not only affects us, but it affects our children. So if we want to raise children who are confident, if we want to raise children who are happy, that's what we have to model, right? And so I've realized that over time with my children, that every time that I was like freaking out about stuff, then they would freak out about it. And it really wasn't that important. Like, my freak out was probably not necessary. And, I truly believe modeling matters more than managing, and how we talk about ourselves, right?
Yeah.
You're not just a manager. You're not just a stay-at-home mom. You're not just a mom. Drop the just, claim who you are, and, your kids will follow. Again, they're sponges. They see everything, they hear everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I say, out loud, I will say in front of my husband and kids, I'll be like, I am such a good mom.
Yeah.
I say it. And do I mess up? Of course, and I also share my challenges because they've watched me be in corporate as a leader. They've watched me be an entrepreneur, and I share my challenges, and I also share my wins. Like, I'll be like, wow, got a new client today, girls. Woo. Like, let's celebrate. That I want them to see me trying and falling and keep going. And yeah, like you said, believing in yourself. So I agree with you. Yes, you're doing it right. That's a great way to end it. Simone, thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people find you, your amazing books, if they want to connect with you and learn more?
So best place to find me is my website, SimoneKnego.com. SimoneKnego. Yes, it's my husband's fault for the last name. Anywhere on social media, you can find me under Simone Knego. I truly believe I am the only Simone Knego in the world, or at least that's publicly out there in the world. And I have 2 books. The most recent one, Real Confidence, just came out in February. And the other one is called The Extraordinary Unordinary You. And the podcast is called Her Unshakeable Confidence. So I would love to, if you reach out to me, I'm always happy to have a conversation. And thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining me on the Feel Good Club show. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and equipped to take on your day with confidence, self-love, and joy. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow ambitious working moms. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. We're all here to support each other in feeling good and living our best lives. Until next time, take care and be hopeful. And remember, prioritize your happiness.